Alright, hello there everyone. I do want to talk about the service changes here in Queens to the subways this weekend along with the Long Island Railroad. But, unfortunately, I do have to talk about what happened on the Oyster Bay branch last night. And if you hear the background, I apologize. If I wasn't clear with everybody last night when I did my weather stream yesterday. I'm in my backup studio downstairs in my living room because my main studio has no air conditioning right now, and I really don't want to be up there until the weather cools down this weekend. They said tonight it's supposed to cool down, so I'm hoping I can get any plays recorded tonight, but that's not the point. I have to do this video because we have to talk about a lot with the issues that are on hand that happened last night. And of course, this weekend coming up. So last night, a down PSE&G power line came down on the tracks near the Glen Street station. So here's the update. Earlier this morning, around 8 o'clock, partial service was restored on the Oyster Bay branch to Glen Street. The good news is, earlier this morning, the MTA was able to send out buses between Glen Head and Oyster Bay. And I was a little bit upset that they didn't mention that in the article, but there were buses this morning that I was aware of. And I do have friends who live near the Oyster Bay and Locust Valley stations, and I'm sure they would have been upset if they had to go into the city today, but up there, I know it very well. Locust Valley and Oyster Bay doesn't have nice bus, so they pretty much got screwed up there. Glen Cove, however, that's a different situation. They have the N27, but they were encouraged to leave from the Glen Street station or use alternative branches. Yeah, problem. How are they supposed to use alternative branches if they don't even want to go into Mineola? Hypocrites, I tell you, this railroad. PSE&G Long Island said it had to set a new pole which required special equipment that was on the scene earlier this morning. So, pretty much, service. Let's check the MTA's website, because right now it is almost noon. So we're going to check the MTA's website, see how we look. Alright, Oyster Bay. Let's see what they said. So this is the official advisory that was sent out at 11:40, about 20 minutes ago. Limited service continues in both directions on the Oyster Bay branch, with trains originating terminating at the Glen Street station due to damage from the PSE&G power line. PSE&G has started the repairs to the infrastructure and estimate that they should be completed today around 3 o'clock. That's a cause of concern because right now in the New York area, it's supposed to be sunny today, but apparently from what I'm seeing outside, we may have some thunderstorms coming in the New York area later this afternoon. So you may need to stick with Pine Power LI later on if he does any updates, but yeah, pretty much LIRR personnel are still there. Bus service is operating to and from Glen Street, making all local stops. So that means you can get to Locust Valley and Oyster Bay without any problems via bus service. The only question is, I want to know if it's coach buses or if it's the regular New York City bus that got brought in. That's what I want to know. Oh, boy. Alright, let's go to the PowerPoint, please. We have to talk about a lot. So here's the PowerPoint I wanted to do. I would have started it off normally, but hey. I have some very good news this weekend. There's only a minor service change on the M train. This is terrific. 11:45 tonight until 12:30 this morning. Coming up Saturday morning, 8th to be specific. 71st Street Forest Hills bound M trains are going to be running express from Queensboro Plaza to Forest Hill 71st Avenue due to signal modernization. So it shouldn't take that long. But the R, however, is going to have a bigger problem. This is from 11:45 p.m. to 12:30 a.m. and 5:30 a.m. to midnight. 71st Avenue Forest Hills bound R trains will be running express from Queensboro Plaza to 71st Avenue due to signal modernization. Is there an alternative? Well, yes there is. Unfortunately, you're going to have to go all the way at the end to Forest Hills 71st Avenue. Oh, I don't know why I even put the Jackson Heights thing. Disregard that. Disregard the Jackson Heights thing. When you get to Forest Hills 71st Avenue, you can walk to the Manhattan-bound platform. I'm very familiar with that station because when you go past the turnstile, you have one area that says Manhattan, Brooklyn, and another that says Jamaica, I think. So if you need any service at all during this work, overnight tonight, unfortunately, you're going to have to go all the way to Forest Hills 71st Avenue, which, of course, if the trains are running express, it should take about maybe, depending if it goes 40 miles an hour, at least 10-15 minutes. I know it sucks, but the only other alternative I can say is the Q60, but I know people that say, "Oh, I don't want to deal with the local road on Queens Boulevard." Well, unfortunately, I'm going to have to get into that reason why as we go along with it. Disregard the Jackson Heights thing. In fact, if I can highlight it, get rid of it. Let me show you. That way you don't all get confused. So we will start again. Let's do some live editing. See, that's what I love about PowerPoint. You can do live editing. So this is the right slide. So if you need a screenshot, please take it now, because this will help you. I did not mean to add Jackson Heights Roosevelt Avenue. I was thinking, wait a minute, that must have been from last week's PowerPoint, or another slide I had just in case. I know it sucks, but that's the only thing I can recommend. E-trains. How's that looking? 11:45 p.m. tonight until Monday morning, May 7th. Jamaica Center-bound E-trains will be running express from Queensboro Plaza due to signal modernization all the way to Jamaica Van Wyck. So, this signal modernization was, of course, from last year's subway action plan. If anybody did want to ask earlier, it was done by Joe Lota last year, and now it's being expanded by the president of New York City Transit, Andy Byford. So there are a couple alternatives. If you need service to Kew Gardens, Union Turnpike, Forest Hills 71st Avenue, or Forest Hills 71st Avenue, you can take the Q60 bus. But if you want to just stay downstairs, not even deal with it, thank goodness I'm very familiar with the Jamaica Van Wyck station. Because when you get off at Jamaica Van Wyck, across the platform, the World Trade Center bound track is right there. You can just walk across, and guess what? You can take the E-train to access Union Turnpike or 71st Avenue. I think what the MTA should do this weekend to help accommodate people, and I'm begging them, please have the E-train stop at 75th Avenue. I know it sounds dumb, but it sounds idiotic for me to be saying this, but if they don't want to add the stops, then, again, I'm very familiar with the area. It's not a long walk from 78th Drive. Literally, if you want to get to, PC Richard and Son on Queens Boulevard, if you're taking the subway to go there, then you could just walk. There's really no need to take the subway if you're going to be getting off at Kew Gardens Union Turnpike anyway, or at Forest Hills 71st. Well, then again, it's sort of a little bit a longer walk from Forest Hills, so Kew Gardens would be the best way to do it as an example. So if you need to get to 75th Avenue, please walk from Kew Gardens Union Turnpike. Is that the best alternative I can recommend? I have some good news about the 7. There's no work on the 7. Terrific. I know. No more chaos between Queensboro Plaza and Times Square. It's terrific. But unfortunately, this means no weekend overnight 42nd Street shuttle train service. Too bad. Because guess what? The 7's gonna be running this weekend. This is terrific. F-Train plan work. I didn't get into this. I'll go into it right now. 9:45 p.m. tonight until Monday morning, May 7th. Jamaica bound F-Trains will be skipping 75th Avenue, Briarwood, and Sutphin Boulevard due to signal modernization. So, I'm gonna say this right now. When you're at Forest Hill, 71st Avenue, please take the Q60 bus. I'm not going to stress this out again. If you absolutely need service to 75th Avenue, Briarwood, and Sutphin Boulevard, walk upstairs. I know the area very well. I told you I know Queens Boulevard very well. Walk upstairs. Q60 will be right there. So don't worry. You're not screwed. N-Train service change is pretty much the same from last weekend. Story-bound N-Trains will be skipping 39th Avenue and Broadway due to station enhancements. It's pretty much the same thing from last weekend, and I think the other weekend as well, but yeah. And I organized this very well this week because I make sure to only do Queens, so nobody gets confused. Unfortunately, there's no W trains this weekend. Beginning tonight, W service will be ending early due to track maintenance. W trains will resume on Monday morning, May 7th, so that's not a big problem. The only thing I can say is please take the N or the R train. I know I don't really want to recommend it, but in this scenario, I have to. Especially if you're in Astoria, I would recommend it. Now, as far as 39th Avenue and Broadway, that's a tough break. I really can't help you that much. Only thing I can recommend is try to see if you can get to subway station, I guess, from the bus. Because in my opinion, MTA should be giving shuttle buses this weekend if they know the W's not even going to be running. Yes! Unfortunately, another weekend. We're going to Long Island Railroad right now. The G's is coming back between Hicksville and Ronkonkoma. Buses are going to be replacing trains between Ronkonkoma and Hicksville due to construction related to the double track project on the weekend of May 5th and May 6th. And this is, again, very, very bad inconvenience. I don't know why New York City Transit can't send out buses to Long Island for a weekend. It is ridiculous. Why can't they do that? Before I was rudely interrupted by the telephone downstairs, we have other issues on the railroad coming up. We gotta talk about another weekend on the main line as well that does not have enough Huntington Port Jefferson service. Weekend service between Huntington and Penn will be reduced from half-hourly to hourly, with all trains making all local stops from Huntington through New Hyde Park. Weekend service between Port Jefferson and Huntington will be reduced from every 90 minutes to every 2 hours. Oh boy, this is not good. Half-hourly to hourly. Another bad weekend, huh? It's clear to me that they don't want to touch the Babylon branch. I have a problem with that. Why aren't they touching the Babylon branch? Track work. That's why. Get out of here with that already. You know how many people need to use the railroad on the weekend? That's why you see so much traffic on weekends lately. It's because the railroad is screwing the traffic pattern. Then, you got this. Port Jefferson service. This weekend, positive train control testing will be again from Woodside to Bayside. There will not be half-hourly service this weekend, except to help people get to City Field. Alright, so if you need a screenshot, I'll leave this up. As you all know, I will leave the Long Island Railroad's Service Changes website in the description below, but this is for people who are going to the Met game. I'm going to stress this out tonight and probably for the rest of the weekend. If you don't want to deal with temporary platforms at Woodside, please take the Port Washington branch. I am not going to stress this out again. Please take the Port Washington branch. Now, you have an alternative to get back to Jamaica. Hopefully, with this weekend, hopefully the 31 will be running in Bayside. I don't know. But, another recommendation I can say, if you don't want to transfer at Woodside, I guess go back to Penn Station if you're going to be going to the Met game this weekend. Well, it sounds idiotic for me to say that, but... And this, track work. See, this is the thing. Why does Babylon get more service? They don't need all this service. They don't. They see the least amount of riders, even on weekdays. Why can't Mainline get half-hourly service on off-peak hours? This makes me irate. Alright. So now that I got that out of the way, I'm going to say it again. I'm going to say this again. I'm going to be very clear with everybody. Why is it that the Babylon branch gets the most service? It's the same thing with the Port Washington branch, okay? Can I be honest? They don't need half-hourly service that much. I don't know. I mean, I've said in the future I might want to move to Flushing just because they get better service, but the main line needs more service. I'm sorry, but Port Washington and... I'm sorry if people will disagree with me. Port Washington and Mainline see the most amount of people on a weekday. Not the Babylon branch. Not them. So they deserve hourly service. Either it's at Merrick, or Belmore, or Massapequa, or Watauga, or wherever these stations are. In general, it's not just the weekend track work. Why can't they get hourly service and the main line gets half-hourly service? It's unfair! I don't know. Is Philip Ng a figurehead? Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. I don't know. I'm still keeping my theory that we'll see real changes on the main line later this year. Okay? I'm going to give Philip Ng a whole year. Alright? I'm going to give him a whole year. And if we are at the same issues that we faced under the Nowakowski administration, then we're going to have the same problems all over again. And we're going to have to keep ranting and raving like I just did now. Because honestly, like John, I do have an interest in the main line. I do use some of the stations along the main line. I use New Hyde Park. I use Carl Place. I use Hicksville. But if there's not enough service, how am I supposed to avoid taking Nice Bus when there's not enough train service? There should be half-hourly service on weekdays off peak. Alright, so that ends my rant. Especially on weekends, too. On Saturdays, that's the way it should be as well. Alright, so here you go. Sorry for ranting at the end, but that's where I end it. Thank you for watching, and again, if you are going to be taking mass transit this weekend, I always say this, good luck, have a good weekend, and until next time, take care.